Hello, everybody. Um, wow, I cannot believe it has been 9 months. Um, a lot has happened in 9 months, but I'm going to try to focus on kind of this week. Um, Unfortunately, this is not the happiest episode, but we're going to try to move past it and stay as much as possible positive. So, all right, first off, why did I leave? What happened? Where did I go? Honestly, y'all, it was really simple. I started out, I did 8 videos. I felt really confident, but I wasn't so sure on my message. I think, like a lot of people, I struggle with the never ending input and constant um, criticism, especially when you lean more conservative. And I lean more conservative. I might be, a modern woman. I'm a career woman. I am a mother. I am a wife. While I'm not declared to any religion, I do believe in God. And I find myself getting more spiritual as I get older. And unfortunately, um, fortunately, I think after the events of this week, that will be kind of a lot of people's story that we seem to be on a spiritual journey. And this has only accelerated that movement. So I am back. I hope to be streaming regularly and posting videos on kind of my takeaway. I'm not here to divide. I am sick and tired of everybody playing a character or a persona on YouTube or all over social media. We are human beings. We are people. We need to start acting like it. And I think, in memory of Charlie Kirk, we need to really start having conversations, especially with the people that we don't agree with, because this is ridiculous. This is not the way that we should be operating, not as a country, not as a species. Um, yeah, so I'm back. I don't feel fear from what happened. I feel that we absolutely need to be a hydra, and we need to duplicate. We need to duplicate our efforts. We need to continue talking to anybody who will listen, and we need to continue discourse, because that is absolutely the future. We cannot continue this energy of not giving people platforms and not letting people speak their truth as if ours is the only possibility. I don't understand. We don't all shop at Target. We don't all shop at the same places. Why do we all have to have the same opinions? And why are we so intolerant of everybody? So, just, I'm back. Now, I think it's very important to say that I don't want to be right. I don't need to be right. And I'm not an expert on probably anything. I'm just a person who's still learning and evolving. And I really want to be surrounded by people that are kind of on the same page. So if you're here for that, if you're kind of looking for a common sense voice that is not playing a character, that can change their mind, that can still learn and evolve, you know, um, please join. Please like and subscribe. So today's stream has to be dedicated to Charlie Kirk. I don't think there's any other person out there. I think that a lot of conservatives felt shut up for the last decade. I think a lot of us felt that we absolutely um, could not have an opinion. We could not be conservative. We could not um, push back on more of the fringe liberal agendas, right? I think the majority of us want everyone to live in peace, and we're not losing sleep over a lot of the more liberal issues, right? But there are things that are fundamentally not right. Trans women in sports, dominating, breaking records, and pushing back when biological women are challenging the narrative. That's something that we saw. We saw conservatives canceled. We saw people deplatformed, demonetized. We saw that for a decade. A decade. I started this channel back in 2017, 2018, possibly 2020. I don't want to go on my YouTube right now because I don't want technical difficulties on a live stream. But when I started this channel, it was because I really wanted to talk about politics, common sense. We had BLM riots and BLM rising up at the time. And I really felt, as a woman of color, as a biracial minority in the United States, I kind of wanted to just talk about how we were addressing one issue but not the other, and bring common sense conversation. And then the trans issue popped up, and then COVID, and then vaccines, and then people got canceled. And people got canceled at a level that, as a mother of 4, I absolutely could not risk my livelihood. So I put this channel on ice. People like Charlie Kirk motivated that first rollout of Real Talk Lion. It may have changed because of my own fear, and I am actually ashamed to say it, but you know what? It's natural. I am a mom. I have a career. I work in a very liberal industry. It's unfortunate, but you cannot absolutely approach everything thinking that you can just say whatever you want. Yes, there's freedom of speech, but words have consequences. And I've seen that even when it's fair or it's not fair, words have consequences, especially for conservatives. So this channel was just to have common sense. Well, Charlie Kirk's been assassinated. Charlie Kirk's been assassinated. We have lost somebody that, whether you agree with him or not, whether you like Christians or not, we have lost somebody that opened up a conversation that we seem to not be allowed to have. And he opened up a conversation in kind of the most emotional arenas, which are college campuses, right? You have immaturity, naivete, people that, naivete, however you say that word, please correct me in the comments, but you have these young minds that are just sponges, and they know that that's what they're there for. But he identified early on that if we can get them at the root of it, the area that the liberals, the Democrats, that are so, the hubris, the arrogance of these people to think that they did not have to campaign on college campuses. And an 18-year-old young man saw an opportunity, took it. And now we're looking 13 years later, you have not only Americans mourning the loss, crying, people are crying, they have absolutely no idea why. Because we didn't even realize how significant he was. Even the people who disagreed with him. This is dedicated to Charlie Kirk. I don't think in times like these that you should react with fear. I don't think that you should react with violence. I think you need to pause. I think you need to think. And I think you need to be strategic. And if I could think of a way to be strategic right now, it would be to continue the message of let's have a conversation. I don't have to align with every view of somebody, but damn, I respected that man. And he was a good man. And he lived by what he preached. And if you didn't like that, that's fine. That doesn't make him racist, and it doesn't make him a bigot. I will continue. All right. I'll say this and I'll keep saying it. Everybody seems to be pretending to be somebody else right now. And I don't understand why we cannot just be genuine. We have a president that has gotten where he is by being himself belligerently. And yet we are over here posturing and pandering to an audience. We need to have conversation. We need to be genuine. We need to be fallible. You need to be able to make a mistake and own up to it and apologize. We are not entitled to being correct all the time. So get over yourselves. Get over yourselves, everybody. Be a human being. Don't be a character. Be your genuine self. Find comfort in knowing that the people that are meant for you, they will love you for who you are. And those that will not, they won't be around. But you don't have to care about them because you already have faith in what you have. I have a bold statement to make that I have been thinking probably since the election. And that bold statement is that the Democratic Party is dead. Democratic Party is dead. Now, why is the Democratic Party dead? The Democratic Party is dead because no matter how badly they lost in the last election, instead of regrouping, finding a way to do something to regain all of their voters that left, if you looked at the electoral map and you saw all of the blue that turned red. Why is it that we are still parroting the same talking points and the same agenda. You know how crazy your party is when you have Bernie Sanders and Alexandra Ocasio, uh, Hipocrita Cortez flying on private jets on a fight the oligarchy tour when the oligarchy pays for them, when the oligarchy is very much how they got into power, or at least AOC. Bernie, we want to say that he later on sold out, right? Fight the oligarchy. Okay, so that's one right there, you know. And then on the other side, you have Gavin Newsom is the only person right now that seems to be talking sense on the Democratic Party. And we know he's lying, and we know that there's nothing genuine about him. He is a lizard king, but he's the only one. He did a sit down with Charlie Kirk where, I mean, he came across so presidential. And honestly, if I didn't actually know who this person was, I would have believed that man that was on there, because that was the person that the Democrats could have probably put up, right? But instead, we had Biden for 4 years. We had the whole gaslighting that Biden was fine, and all of our government being complicit in it. So that's great, right? Okay, so on that, Democratic Party's dead. You know, we're 9 months in post, you know, inauguration almost, and we have not seen anything big from them aside from continuing the same endless stream of they're Nazis, they're racist, they're bigots, or my favorite, yeah, all of those minorities that voted for Trump, they don't understand themselves. They're what is Stockholm syndrome, and you know, it's kind of it's amazing to me on how people can put narratives in other people's mouths, and how me and you and everybody watching, or nobody watching probably, right, which is even better, um, me and you have completely different backgrounds. Me and you were raised by different people. Honestly, look at your siblings. Do you and your siblings act exactly the same way? You have the same parents, same household, same values, same crazy big life experiences in those early years? Are you going to tell me that you think exactly like them? We're just in a place where we're not allowed. We're not allowed to have a conversation. And unfortunately, we are giving credibility to the loudest voices. And I think that's the problem in the Democratic Party. They are giving they're giving so much energy towards the loudest voices. The media is continuing their grift and their BS. They think that if they yell Nazi enough, that Americans might actually forget that not one thing Donald Trump has done has been Nazi behavior. If anything, Donald Trump has been one of the most pro-Jewish Israeli presidents of our lifetime, or the history of this current version of Israel. So where does that come from? But it's okay. We still say it even after Charlie Kirk's assassination. Our president's getting called a Nazi in restaurants. And I don't have to agree with everything Trump does, but I also don't like to call people names that are just not factual and have absolutely zero evidence to back it up. But we're still doing that because their feelings are more important than the facts. And that's the reality that we're living in. So the Democratic Party is dead because the Democratic Party, who are crazily enough, very similar to the Republicans, very centrist, they have allowed themselves to be hijacked and taken hostage by the liberal left. And they are absolutely unhinged, illogical individuals. You may have good intentions. I will give you that. I know you have good intentions. I have very close liberal friends. For the most part, they have a common sense. They understand some of the more ridiculous fringe areas, but we can still fundamentally disagree on some areas, and that's okay. But you cannot tell me right now that that is the future of America. Let's accept absolutely everything. Let's have not one solution for any problem, and let's just regurgitate talking points. See, the liberals in America sound like everybody in corporate America. They just talk in circles. They say what sounds good, it sounds flowery, and at the end of the day, not a damn thing gets done, and everybody gets treated by favoritism levels. And not every company's like that, but it's the world that we live in. It's not always based on merit. So again, DEI was trying to be a solution for that, right? I'm going to go on a tangent because I'm not scripted. This is wholly genuine. I have a few talking points, but I want to make sure that this is my genuine self. So, all right. Now, just to kind of add in here, I've been talking for a while, and I'm going to go ahead and play a recent clip from Bill Maher where he just kind of goes in, and I thought that he said it very well. So I will go ahead and hit and play it here. Ooh. Give me 1 second, everybody. I know this is it's a live stream, but it is also my first live stream. I wanted to make sure that this was just done. I don't want to go off emotion. I don't want to be scripted. I just wanted to come on here and have a conversation. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and play this clip, and I'll be right here.
This is how. Posturing, purity tests, the politics of I unfriend you if you're not exactly with me 1,000%.
Strap in, because Bill Maher's latest rant isn't just a few snarky one-liners. It's a full scorched earth roast of woke outrage culture and the Democratic Party's talent for shooting itself in the foot. At this point, it's hard to tell if Maher's still the cranky old liberal begging for common sense, or if reality's just nudging him rightward like a busted shopping cart wheel. So what lit the fuse this time? Shadow chase.
That was just... no, she's not. But you all see the ad that she's out there. This is a very important ad that we're seeing now. There she is, dressed like Jay Leno in all blue denim.
Eugenics.
And she talks about the fact that she has blue eyes, and then she says, I have great genes, because she's wearing jeans. But according to the woke people, this means that she's a white supremacist. It also doesn't help that her bra size is 36 KKK.
Maher's bigger point.
Okay, so on that
Outrage
one, Lamar, I know we had to get like the guy humor in there. But yeah, Sydney Sweeney has big boobs and she's pretty. If her mom and dad had like brown eyes and she was just like, I have good genes with my blue eyes. I don't know. I'm trying to understand. I tried to understand what the outrage was because I just simply didn't get it. So I watched it and I'm going to watch it again right now. So if anyone's watched this like 50 times because you like to watch the reaction videos, I don't need to see liberal meltdown videos. I've been alive for the last 15 years. I remember when the internet started on dial-up. Not that old, but like I'm not that young either. So don't need to see that. But we're going to go ahead and watch this eugenics Adolf Hitler approved commercial, apparently, according to the internet. So
genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color.
The steamy campaign causing quite the debate.
My genes are blue.
When you first saw the ad, what was your reaction?
I won't lie to you.
Yeah, I think we need to all revoke our citizenship if you're brown. And I think, I'm joking. Yeah, so that is what we are getting outraged about now. But if Lizzo was on the cover of Women's Health, we'd be celebrating that. So, and I don't know, let me not bash Lizzo. She's been on a weight loss journey and she's looking great. And that's amazing, even though she was, I think, the fat positive spokesperson for a very long time. But again, it's not healthy. And I think some people again, playing a character, pretending to be something that we're not, just so that we can have more clout or more followers or whatever it may be. Deep down, it's not worth dying early or having a million health conditions pop up because you can't stop eating donuts for 5 minutes. And I'm only saying this as somebody who recently lost 65 pounds and is on the journey to get down to 150. But I still have a journey. I've had 4 kids. And yeah, and I love ice cream and I love donuts. So when I'm talking about put down the donuts, I'm talking to me. I'm talking to me. I love donuts. Anyways, so that was kind of one of my call outs there. And I thought it was really funny as well that, this specific topic, like within the same week, we had another kind of ad, and this was from Dunkin' Donuts, where it's Gavin Castellano. Castellano, like literally his name is Latin. He's Italian descent, and this was his video. And the video, oh, okay, so video won't play. That's fine. Long story short, they talk about Duncan's golden refresher and how he's having like a golden summer. And this dude is freaking tan. He was probably born, he probably popped out looking like he came straight out of the Mediterranean. I didn't understand what the issue was. I think honestly there should be more of a concern at the fact that Dunkin' Donuts has a drink called Golden Anything. Because if you're like, Carmen, would you like a golden sunrise or a golden cappuccino? I'm going to say no, because I'm assuming R. Kelly made the drink. So, but again, I'm outraged at the kind of disgusting imagery that comes in my head. And these local gente are over here upset that this obviously Latin man is talking about having okay, so Democratic Party is dead because the Democratic Party is officially a hostage. It is a hostage situation. It is obviously a hostile takeover, because I swear the older Democrats are just, why are we still here? Oh, because you're making so much money. Yeah, we're talking to you, Pelosi. All right, so kind of like the live stream format, it's a little easier. So just kind of, again, Democratic Party is dead. Social justice warriors are running the show. And it is what it is. There's so much time left. Obviously, the history of the United States, the Democratic Party has had a lot of revamps. So I think if there's a party that can do it, that can then gaslight the US into thinking that they've changed, they're the ones. But lucky for them, the Republicans are not so outstanding either. So like the Democrats still have a way to get back in, maybe in the next 10 to 20 years. All right. I will say that young Republicans give me hope. When I was younger and I was, young female, early on, I said I was a Republican. And then when it came time to register, I registered independent because of how young Republicans acted towards me. Like I didn't belong in that group. And I'm not going to call out demographics, but there was definitely a certain energy. I don't feel that anymore. I see young women pushing against the women's liberation narrative, the have all these partners narrative, the rise of the trad wife thing is kind of funny, not because we should all aspire to be a trad wife, but more because for so long we were pushing against it. It was a level of mockery. Someone saying, I want to be a homemaker, I want to be a wife. You get mocked. Telling somebody at 19 that you're a virgin, you get mocked. I say that, like, you get mocked. The devil is so deep in everything and everybody's mindset that we started to think that we were crazy for having any sort of conservative view. And I'm not even religious. I mean, I grew up in a Catholic family. I grew up around Catholics because I do come from a Catholic country and my parents are immigrants. But I don't approach things as a religious person. So imagine having these conversations and being able to actually clarify minds and know that you're not coming from some very closed-minded standpoint. You're coming from what you believe to be a common sense viewpoint. But we were demonized, and we were endlessly demonized. So now what I see are young Republicans who felt empowered by Charlie Kirk. They felt empowered by other young Republicans, other young people of color that joined the Republican Party. I'll say Officer Tatum, Candace Owens. You have people that have really gone out there and they have spoken to the community, and they faced years of backlash. They face it to this day. And those people wanted to get our voices out because most of them will probably tell you that they were either very liberal or that they were attacked by liberals when they were young at a time where people felt so empowered to do so. But on my end, as a young Republican, I didn't feel like I had a place in either side. So I registered as an independent. Now, what I also like about young Republicans is that there's loyalty, but it's not blind. And this is no shade to the baby boomers and the older generations, but there's definitely a level of blind allegiance that I just cannot understand. Because if you can believe one thing that the government did bad against its own people, then you can never believe that they have never done that 100 more times. So explain to me where the blind allegiance comes from. But if you look at young Republicans, I don't see that energy. What I see are a lot of questions being asked, a lot of resource savvy people. They know how to get answers. They know how to tap into databases. These internet sleuths are completely doing our intelligence agencies' jobs for them. Evidence just this week with Charlie Kirk's assassination. I have a lot of faith in young Republicans, even more so evidenced by the Epstein file situation that we're currently in the middle of. Young Republicans are so angry at the Trump administration, the administration that they rallied to put into office, an administration that campaigns on transparency and releasing of these files. And it's even funny because we had a president who wanted to tell us that these things were not, that it wasn't true, that it wasn't the case. But even his own son, even Don Jr., asked during the campaign to have him release these files. Let me see if I can pull up this screenshot here. Here we go. So little DTJ, little DTJ over here, in July of 23, you were asking for it, right? Because why would anybody protect the scumbags? Why would anybody protect our elite governments, world leaders, corporation, shareholders? Why would we protect people that are using children in the way that the Epstein has been proven to be using them, right? So interesting one, but okay. All right. So I'm going to take a moment. To go into the Charlie Kirk assassination. I feel there's very few words that can be stated to I think there's very few things that you can say that have not already been said in the positive and in the negative. There will probably never be a person like Charlie Kirk again. Charlie Kirk saw a problem in America. He saw a problem in America that he grew up in. He was 6 years younger than me, and I very much grew up witnessing that problem in America. And that problem I refer to is the removal of God from everything, the shaming of anybody who is outwardly Christian. I'm shouting out Tim Tebow here. I think anyone who remembers Tim Tebow taking a knee every time the Gators won or he had a touchdown, and he was absolutely vilified in the media for it. He saw that the Democratic Party didn't even campaign on college campuses because it was a shoo-in for them, that they had already infiltrated so much of our media and our education system, and our primary education system, that they didn't need that. It's, again, hubris. And he identified it, and he started Turning Point USA. And the rest is the future, right? As apparently he used to say. So there will never be someone like him again. I hope that from this, 100 more Charlie Kirks are born. And I hope this movement amplifies to a level that has never been seen before. I hope it gets so big that it's almost a guarantee that college kids vote conservative, and that the Democrats have to start their own Turning Point USA to get votes from the youth again. Because I cannot understand how anybody thought that this was going to be a good idea. This is devastating. to the United States, to the Christian community, to conservatives. And even though liberals don't even see it and they don't know it, and you're so stuck in your anger and your hatred of absolutely everything that is fringe and irrelevant to people's day-to-day lives. And even though you're so drawn up in that and your anger and your hatred, enjoy it. Enjoy it. Because that freedom of speech, the thing that he was advocating for, discourse, conversation, that is exactly what people like you need, because we are sick and tired of listening to you. But I'm not going to react the way that I think a lot of people are going to react. I'm not going to shut myself down mentally. I'm not going to act like you people. Yeah, you people. You should be ashamed of yourself. Sin vergüenzas. Sin vergüenzas. The people celebrating our mainstream media, which I mean, they're so disgusting and beyond any level of redemption. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play my little stuff that I have lined up. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and play this one because, you know, thank God he got fired. And I'm not for people losing their jobs and being canceled, but I am definitely for repercussions for our actions, because at some point, if I do something bad, I go to jail. If you're a media personality, you get to say whatever you want and you're good. No, I'm not even a YouTuber. So I could literally lose my day job. I can get kicked off of this. I'm not even monetized. But these people, no, they don't. They have bigger reach, bigger shareholders. They have shareholders. I have no shareholder. My dog's my shareholder. All right. So let me go ahead and put this on. And I know y'all. If anyone's watching, just laugh at me for not being the best, being a boomer at sharing my screen. All right. Here we go.
Oh my God. Which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt,
and that's the unfortunate environment we're in.
Turning Point USA has confirmed that he was shot.
Shooting their gun off. Have you ever gone to a Republican convention and just had like all of these rednecks just shooting guns off? Is that like the regular behavior of conservatives, the right? Like, I've never seen that. No, never seen that in my life. This was somebody's immediate reaction. And I'm going to pause here. Kirk was constantly pushing hate speech, sort of aimed at certain groups. You can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and then not expect awful actions to take place. Matthew Dodo, that's an awful lot of times to say awful while you're making an extremely stupid statement. Again, Charlie Kirk was a Christian man. He followed the Bible. He was very outspoken about it, and he was very consistent. He also lived his life by what he preached. The fact that your feelings don't agree with Christians, especially conservative, not the modern Christians, the weak Christians, the ones that allow for absolutely everything so that they're more palatable to the general public. No, I'm not talking about the fake Christians. I'm talking about devout Christians, evangelical, whatever denomination, the people that believe it and live it, the people that genuinely kind of make me uncomfortable. Yeah. Because I don't know so much about the religion and I can't speak so much about God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. I just know that I believe in God, that he's in my heart. That's not hate speech. It's not racism to pull up statistics and say that a certain percentage of the population commits a certain number of violent crimes. It's not racist. It's backed by data. Does it suck to hear it? Yeah, it sucks to hear it. Is it unfortunate that he said it out loud? Is it possibly insensitive? If you're not accepting of reality, what's the thing here? Where's the issue? Oh, it's bigoted of him, it's hateful to him that he doesn't agree with gay marriage because he follows a Bible that specifically states it's between man and woman. You know what I really enjoyed about Charlie is that I watched one of his debates, and a student came up and he was Black American, and he said, I'm Black, do you think I don't belong here? And it was some Ivy League school. And he said to the young man, why wouldn't you belong here? Oh, because of my skin color. No. You followed all the processes to get in here, you took the test, all of that, like, you're here, right? And he goes, well, do you have an issue with me, like I'm gay? He goes, no, I don't care about your skin color, because my God made us in his image. We're all equal. But us being equal is equality. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I have an advantage over you. You're in a school that I would have never gotten into. But we still want to be victims. We still want to play the victim, right? He had a gentleman who was queer, identified as gay, and he said, hey, listen, I'm gay. You don't agree with my lifestyle? He goes, listen, I don't agree with your lifestyle, but I have people that work with me at Turning Point USA who are gay. And that was not a bar to their employment. It's not a lifestyle that I agree with. That's it. He wasn't even impeding people. He believed in freedom of speech, freedom of life, but freedom to be yourself and freedom for him to be him. It doesn't make him cruel. It doesn't make him racist or bigoted. He had an opinion. Your feelings were hurt. You didn't like that. Your feelings are not facts. I'm going to go ahead and hit play again. But what ended up happening with Matthew Dowd is that he did end up getting fired. So, I'm not going to give Laura Loomer any kind of stage time right now because she's another disgusting human being, but I will talk about her on another episode. So, one, you have this disgusting media reaction to a horrific assassination. And that's just one, right? Like, so it's disappointing to see the media, but we know who the media are, and we know that they have to find a way to demonize anybody that's conservative, right? I know we have our conservative news networks and they demonize the left, but I'm talking about this week, this murder, this reaction. Calling Donald Trump conservatives, Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, calling these people Nazis, fascists, racists, sexual predators, calling them this on an endless loop is part of the reason why we're here. I'm not going to throw blame. I'm not going to start saying that, trans people did this. I'm not going to even grab onto the easy perpetrator that I know my lovely, competent FBI is going to give me and the American people. But I am going to say, if you told me that you stabbed a racist Nazi and that they died, I'd be like, you know what, man? They shouldn't have been a racist Nazi. So, and I'll justify it and I'll defend it. So, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, all of the, big YouTubers, conservatives that, pro-guns and anti-abortion and all of these things. So if somebody gets shot because they believe in the Second Amendment, it's justified because they believe in people having guns, and you keep seeing online people posting about how Charlie Kirk said that you could have a couple deaths a year due to gun violence to be able to keep the Second Amendment. Okay, so I understand that. Like walking down the street, somebody shoots someone else, I get a stray bullet. Okay, that's all right. But because I'm pro Second Amendment, you now have a right, or it is now justified that you get on a roof and sniper me like an assassin on a targeted hit. And these sickos that live in this country that somehow think that anybody believes or agrees with them at a large scale. let's go ahead and see. I'm going to go ahead and put on Twitter really fast. So we had a lot of people on Twitter, still posting on Twitter. And I think it sucks to see your fellow Americans so nasty. We're not surprised. I think if anything, we're so desensitized and at this point outraged because you took somebody that you shouldn't have taken. Well, we've lost somebody, right? Because we have no idea who did this. But to the people celebrating, this man was a father to 2 young children. I know everybody's heard that multiple times, and oh my God, you know, they were rich, and I'm sure he has money for those of us out there who haven't met our parents and you're traumatized all life because you know nothing about them. But then what about the kids who are going to hear about a legend of a father, but know absolutely nothing of their own, have any of their own recollections, any of their own memories? You'll never be able to fill that hole. And you don't care. So even if you didn't like what he said, could we not even have a moment to feel for that woman who lost a man that she waited to fall in love with, that she waited to start a family with? This woman. You don't give a crap about her, right? Okay. The amount of people posting about Charlie changing their life. Young minorities. People like me, people who felt like, you know, maybe we grew up in conservative households. Maybe we grew up in liberal households, but we were told by our peers that we were not supposed to be conservative because of the color of our skin. Because the other party, they had our back because they talk about it all the time. They don't do anything about it, but they talk about it. And that's important. Cool. Change people's lives. But here we go. And we are celebrating. We are celebrating this psychotic behavior. Stop trying to shame people for not mourning Charlie Kirk. If you are not mourning Charlie Kirk, I am not going to shame you. I promise you. He was not impactful in everybody's life. And that's okay. So there we go. I didn't know that was a trend right now. And I'm not just going to go here. Oh, no, never mind. I am. So he wasn't just a conservative we disagreed with. He was a fascist. Or I'm not going to read every single word that we have here. Blah, 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 blah. Your feelings are not facts. There are things I really disagreed with him on. I have to say that I did not agree with the hardline anti-Palestinian sentiment, especially as somebody who in the last probably year and a half, I've come around to kind of understanding a lot more of what's going on over there and not just blindly siding with Israel. But I didn't agree with that. But I will say this. The level of energy that this woman put into typing this up, she should go put this into herself, into being a better person. Because you see, there's a time and a place where you can say stuff. There's also a time where you just shut up. And you have nothing nice to say. Don't say anything at all. I saw another one where somebody's like, you have to think about the individuals that are posting the things that they post, right? Because you can look at someone that you really admire and you're like, wow, you're such an intelligent person and you're so accomplished and you're moral and you really stand by the things that you say. Or you know these people that are intelligent and they are just like corporate America. They know how to sound nice. What goes deeper is probably just putrid rot. And that is a reality. And I'm sorry to say that. Saw people comparing Charlie Kirk to Kobe Bryant, that it was sad that Kobe Bryant died, but he was also a rapist. So, okay, that was a comparison. That's crazy. Saying that because he made a comment about empathy, that empathy has been damaging. Empathy has been damaging. Empathy is quite easily what has destroyed the left. You feel for everybody. Every single fringe cause, every fringe idea, everything that somebody comes up with, everything. You grab onto it. You're too empathetic. It was a valid point. He sympathized with people. He sympathized with people. I'm going to blame Michael Moore for this last 2 generations' inability to watch a full clip. I'm also guilty of it. My husband calls me out on it all the time. I remember I would get mad. I'd be like, oh my God, can you believe? Oh, Charlie said this today. And my husband's like, did you even watch the full clip? And then I'd go and I'd feel so stupid. Watch the full clip, people. My God. So we had a really overall an ugly week and an ugly moment in American history. And I don't have predictions for the future, but I can say that we probably will be looking back 10 years from now and mark this week as the week that things really started. And I don't start for what, but man, the US has been in a dark place for a long time, and it just keeps getting more amplified. So I'm going to finish up with easily the best thing that I saw. I can't play Charlie with his family. I can't play I can't play those clips. So what I'm going to play is actually what Candace Owens streamed yesterday. She was very good friends with him. They traveled all over the world together with Turning Point. He helped her when she started Blexit. And she showed a very human side of him, and quite honestly, a very goofy one. So I'm going to put a clip here, but if you haven't seen the full episode, it's like 25 minutes, very short for a Candace episode. I think it was the best memoriam that we could get, because we've all watched Charlie. We all knew what he did and how he approached discourse. Seeing the guy behind the scenes, the goofball, it was really beautiful. So let me take my 7 minutes here to get this up. Okay.
It is so important for me to make sure that you guys understand how absolutely hilarious Charlie was. Charlie was hilarious, okay? He did not take himself too seriously. He was so good at doing imitations and accents. Anybody, any imitation, any accent, he was just on the money. And all we did was laugh. It's all you can do and laugh. People were just so crazy all the time. When I was reading through the chat today, I was just laughing with just tears in my eyes, thinking of the many road trips that we took, so many hours spent just talking trash to one another, making fun of one another. One of the best moments that I can think of, and there's so many to choose from, was we were driving through Colorado, and I put on a Kanye song, on my playlist, and Charlie goes, Is this Jay-Z? I almost made him pull over the vehicle. I was like, are you kidding me? Okay, I understand that you don't do culture, but like, come on. You don't know the difference between Jay-Z and Kanye. And he didn't. And I explained to him the difference. I was like, okay, no, you got to get into some Kanye West music. Next thing you know, Charlie's really getting into some Kanye West music. He's running 10 miles a day. He got really into running. And he's texting me about how great it is. Like there's this text, Charlie. He's like, yes, it's my new favorite song. And he just loved it. Kanye's Power kind of became our theme song for the tour. I have no idea why, but that was our hype song before we went on stage. So you can only imagine when just a couple of months later, we've been listening to Kanye's old albums on repeat. Suddenly Kanye West tweets, I love the way Candace Owens thinks. The excitement. Okay, we were certain that we had manifested it. We were 100%. We manifested this by listening to Power on repeat. Actually, I found a clip of us backstage on that day when that tweet happened. And we were doing what I used to refer to as like the Charlie dance. Here it is. You don't understand like the divinity of him tweeting that.
I live in that 21st century. There was something mean to it.
The era of Kanye. I can't even explain it because you really did have to be there. Charlie was my overly bright and sometimes really annoying kid brother. I was smiling going through my chat of how many times he would text me a picture and say, does this look cool? Does this look cool? Do I look cool? This is like just a screen recording of us talking about a pair of sunglasses. He's just sending me it. I'm like, nah, that's not good. Nope, that's not. No, send. Okay, that one's okay. That'll work. And this is actually one of my favorite photos of him where he said, I can just hear him when I look at this photo. I can hear him saying, does this look cool? He was wearing a pair of Yeezys that Kanye gave him. And he looks really cool. I thought they really suited him. I was like, yeah, you look really cool, Charlie. The reverse of that obviously was him constantly hammering me on debates. I mean, Charlie was like, look, you gotta know the arguments of your opponents backward and forward. I remember I had note cards like I was in high school, just memorizing every statistic and being strengthened by, just day in and day out. He was just pretending to be a protester, pretending to be a radical. And he used to always say, iron sharpens iron. And we spent so much time practicing debating and really thinking through what our ideas were. Charlie never missed a meeting that he had. He wouldn't do that. He took that very seriously. It doesn't matter what the circumstance was, even if it was a hurricane. And one day there was literally a hurricane. I think we were in North Carolina, South Carolina at the time. I don't remember, but all the flights got canceled and we needed to be in DC by morning. And Charlie looks at me. He's like, we got to rent a car. We got to drive 8 hours. Totally insane. And one of the most fun road trips I've had in my life. Every single song was sung. Me and Charlie were always singing in cars. To show you, this is from that road trip. And then, of course, there was always some hip hop mixed in, Ignition, remix. And we can make him about to have you some fun. Bounce, 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 bounce.
The bounce, 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 like bobbing in the backseat of the car, is to me like the funniest memory. And that is, I wish or I hope that can be like the last way that I envision it, because the brutality, the graphicness of how all of us saw this assassination happen. I am so grateful to Candace Owens. I'm a huge fan. I follow her. I watch her. I mean, I try to stay on with everything. Yeah, we're all rooting for you. Screw you, Macron. Mr. and Mr. Macron. But I'm really grateful to her for doing this. I can only imagine how devastated, heartbroken she was, but she maintained her composure and was able to give us something outside of what we already kind of see and know about him. I could have assumed that he was kind of goofy behind the scenes, but to have it confirmed and to see it, that was really nice. And I'm going to quickly go over to how he and Candace talked about his wife and how he wanted to marry his wife, and he didn't get married until his late 20s, and his wife was actually older than him. But he seemed to always be so grateful that he found her, and grateful and loved being a dad. And those videos were heartbreaking, any parents out there, that there's such a fear in being a parent. There's such a fear in what can happen to them. And there's a fear of us not being around. So the fact that he got to enjoy it in his life before he was taken so early, I'm really grateful to God for that. God, I don't know why you took him. I imagine there's a plan, but at least we got to see this, at least we got to see something really beautiful about him, the individual, the man, that wasn't just the character, the larger than life person, right? So I'm going to go ahead and hit play again, but I want to see this is just too funny. Watch the whole clip, y'all. It's like 27 minutes. I'm going to start wrapping up here. This was going to be a long stream regardless. Thank you for anyone who's joined. Thank you for anyone who's watching. Today was really just to get on and talk to you and see, kind of get my thoughts out there, right? Because I want to continue and I want to come back weekly. But it's going to be on my terms and it's going to be what I want to talk about. As my following grows, I'll bring on other people and cover those subjects, but I'm not here to protect your feelings and I'm not here to insult you, but we need to have uncomfortable conversations. We also need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I know that's like the slogan of 2025, but we need to have these conversations. I don't want to argue or debate with anybody. It always turns into an argument and I have a bad temper and I'm very hot-headed, but I'm trying very hard to be a better version of myself because the way that we're operating is not the way to continue going. So I'm going to play a couple more minutes of just adorable behavior because this was really cute to see. Broke my heart a little bit more, but it humanized him a lot.
Last night murder, she rolled. Once I get you out the clothes, privacy is.
So we go over here.
Reality is catching up with me.
They really like Kanye West. We all like Kanye.
Just literally me, Charlie, and Sarah, who was his assistant at the time, just playing the hype music. Charlie and I fought a lot of battles together. I mean, of course, who could forget the infamous day that we got chased out of a Philadelphia restaurant by this video of
hilarious.
Me just playing with the protesters, sitting in front of one of their signs and Charlie speaking over my shoulder. Take a listen.
If you aren't wealthy, white, and male, Charlie Kirk is not your friend. What do you think?
Not my friend anymore?
Are we not friends?
Is
that right?
Find out. It's not going to find out. A sign outside of a thing, an event that we just did that you're not my friend.
Go figure.
That's like equivalent to a friend of mine who's also biracial. I don't know if we're friends or acquaintances. They say to me that when the Republicans get back in power, we're all going to be slaves again. And I was like, word? Because like I didn't realize I was a slave a couple years ago when Donald Trump had his first term. And it's like this stupid comments like that have us all sitting here like, why did we enable this behavior for so long? Why did we let you all just talk? We just let you talk. We let you be you. We let you rock. And now look at us. To the parents out there, do you know when your kids keep doing bad stuff and you don't correct them, what do they end up doing? They do worse things. They start thinking that they're actually right because nobody's correcting them because everybody's they're like, just let them live. They're going to outgrow it. It's 2025. They're not outgrowing it. The psychotic behavior is not ending. And I'm going to be honest, I'll go in on the right another week, on the extreme right, because right now we're in a good place. Everybody is kind of like, we have our president, we have control. All right, fine. Don't think that these behaviors, we still had January 6th. We still get this. We are to a point on that side that we allow them because we have been convinced by them that they are the virtue. They are the virtue signalers. They are the height of ethical behavior. The people who are constantly bashing religious people, the people who constantly bash any sort of moral or ethical standing point. We allowed them to rock for 20 something years. We allowed them to take God out of everything. And we're surprised that they're celebrating someone's assassination. We're surprised at the behaviors that we've been subjected to over the years. I haven't even gone into the immigration, deportations, and all of that because I really didn't want to go into that today because this would be a 3-hour stream. The idiots in Los Angeles flying a foreign flag, trying to tell people that we want to be here, we contribute to this country, so we're going to go ahead and fly foreign flags, we're going to burn the American flags, we're going to shut streets down, we're going to throw cinder blocks at cop cars and at ICE agents. You wanted to let them rock. We let them rock way too long. Let them rock far too long. So I'm going to go ahead and play here just on her, their text exchange about his wife, because it was adorable. And then I'm going to wrap up with some lighter context, because why not? And yeah.
Like, Charlie, this is love. This is not a brand decision. And then he sat down and he spent just one evening with George, and Charlie was just the most supportive of everything. And this is our text chain speaking about that moment. He's like, his heart is wonderful. You guys are meant for each other. I see it brilliantly and clearly. And he gets it.
When you
he
want
isn't
the best
afraid of
for your
you being
friend,
you. And he's been through hell. And it was Charlie was by my side the day that I got married. Of course, he was by my side. When I got married to George. And of course, Charlie fell in love with Erica. That entire journey to me when I was reading through a text is so funny because it was exceptional. I was always leaning into Charlie's analytical mind and making fun of him. Like, oh, well, all we need to do is get a plan. You love Erica? Okay, what's the plan? What are we going to do? What's step one? What's step two? And the plan that I came up with instantly was all we have to do is convince her that her last name is terrible. Her last name, she's got to marry you because it's practical. Kirk is going to, Mrs. Erica Kirk sounds so much better than Miss Erica Francie. What is that last name? It's a practical decision. This is the text chain from that. Charlie and Erica Kirk, he says it's going to be the power couple of a century. I need to continue to pray about it. I said, her last name's dumb. She literally needs you to propose. It's way too complicated. He said, I'm going to tell her it sounds like a sneeze. It's horrible. And then I wrote, marry me. It's a logistics thing. That's just who we were. Always making fun and always wanting to know what the plan was. And obviously it worked, you guys. It worked. Our plan worked. We broke Erica down. First came the name shame, then came the wedding, and then came the children. Charlie really loved, really.
Nobody deserves what happened to Charlie Kirk. Nobody. Charlie Kirk didn't hurt you because he didn't agree with you. He did you so much good by bringing conversation back. He didn't hurt you. My God, you could have disagreed with everything he said, but all you had to say was thank you for starting a conversation. Nobody. Now, in one of my first videos that I made when I started this channel, I talked about Luigi Mangione and how he assassinated the United Health CEO. I didn't fully justify it, but I justified it in the way that we do, right? We talk about utilitarianism and how this would be justified under him, but I'm not a utilitarian. I am somebody who grew up around Catholics. I come from a culture that is Catholic. Therefore, I don't think I can really say that I'm not Christian, even though I'm not practicing. I'm heavily influenced by Christian ideals. I have to retract my statement justifying what Luigi Mangione did. I don't think that the UNH healthcare CEO was probably a good person, but that's not for me to determine. That's not for me to know. I didn't know him personally, and that's where I'm gonna put it. There's a lot that needs to be fixed in this country, but I don't think that we're gonna get it fixed by just cold blood murdering people. I think that's going to lead to a lot more restrictions on the peasants, the common folk, the plebeians. I don't think that that's going to affect the elites, the people that we ultimately are really angry at. So I'm going to kind of just retract that. I can't stand by that. I will say that morality, you can't just excuse bad behavior when it's your side. You need to be fair and you need to be equal in how you distribute that. Morality is way greater than tribalism. So, yeah. Y'all, killing people in cold blood is not the way to go about it. I don't care how angry you are. I don't care how much you hate people being anti-abortion. I don't care how mad you are that, People don't want to see their biological daughters getting stomped out by trans women in sports. I don't care. I don't care. That's not a justification for you to just kill somebody. Okay. And I know with United Healthcare, it's a lot bigger than that. It's, policies and all of these things that could impact millions of people because of greed and corruption and shareholders running the world, it seems. So yeah, I understand it. That's not the way. It's not the way. So, very sad. Just very sad. This week has really sucked. I'm sorry. I want to use a better word, but I can't. So, all right. Let's kind of go into a little bit. I want to tell you about me. So I always wanted to do this video when I first came out in January, December, because it was like my birthday. I put a video up. Tell you about me. So I was raised by a mom and dad who immigrated from the Dominican Republic when they were teens or like early teens. They escaped a brutal dictatorship and kind of the restructuring that happened after his assassination, and then obviously everything that happens after a government gets taken out. Immigrated to the United States. My father came from a very big military family, and he was always Republican my entire life. Also military. So, just very Republican. My mother grew up with Catholic parents and in the Catholic school system, but she had a lot of conflict in Catholic school and with the church. So she grew up kind of like throwing away the ideals, but it's, again, very much in our culture. So she came to the United States, grew up during women's liberation and women's rights. And my mother is what I would consider a very progressive conservative. She was shaped by a movement that is still impacting women born today. I think it's amazing that we were given the rights to vote, and just to most degrees, we are equal to men, right? Anything else will probably be on a corporate policy or an individual policy, but we have the road to fixing any issues, discriminations, things that we experience in the workplace now. Well, she grew up during that. Women's liberation, one thing I actually really agree with Charlie Kirk on is that there's a mindset of give yourself to everybody and, just be a man, be equal to a man. We're not men, ladies. We're not men. And no bashing on men, but we're magic. We are magic. We create life. We build this thing inside of us. This little thing turns into one of me, one of you. We are magic. And the biggest lie that women's liberation ever told us is that we could just give it away and that we could give away our magic. And then we have to grow up and we have to deal with that and the consequences of buying into something that went against our own common sense. Women and men are not the same. We're not unequal, but we are not the same. We are the perfect fit. We need each other, and not just in romantic relationships. I'm not about to start bashing same-sex marriages. Live your life. I do believe that. Live your life if you're both consenting adults. I'm not going to touch that subject. But we are magic. We are magic. And women and men need each other in our society. We need it. There's a reason that we're here. So the idea that we're going to be equal and we're going to have the same and we're going to act the same way, it was a lie. They lied to us. I can see where my mom also kind of grew out of that mindset and started to see where that was wrong. So, I grew up with this very strict parents, but a very progressive, conservative mom who had conversations with me that honestly no conservative kid that I know had these conversations with these parents. A lot of conservatives don't even talk about sex with their kids. You have people that they don't want to talk about body parts. They don't want to talk about, how girls get pregnant. So they have to find out by literally getting pregnant. Can you imagine that? I didn't have that. My mom, I was so well informed, but I had a view of sex that I think didn't value it the way that I should have. And I think a lot of young women or women under a certain age have gone through that. So I think it's important, right? And I'm really grateful that I always was kind of standoffish. So that probably protected me from more of my women's liberation mindset. But you just see a generation now of these women that we have to almost convince ourselves that this is the way, this is the way, this is the way. And, you know, it's obviously pushing back, like biology is winning, because you're seeing all these women now, you know, talking about how they want to be a mom, and they felt shamed for saying that out loud. And all I want to do is be a mom. And yeah, we have IVF and we have all these different ways. So women who maybe waited too long or now see, oh my God, what else is there to do? You know, am I fulfilled? I really had an issue hearing conservatives say, and I still kind of to some degree do, even though I can tell you that it's true in my case, for me, my lived experience. I have an issue hearing that women are only happy when they're mothers and wives. Let me amend that. Women can be very happy when they are married to a good man, a good person, someone who, it's not just flowery words and all of these grand gestures that really don't mean crap, because the day-to-day, they suck. No, somebody who builds with you, somebody who loves you, somebody who sees you change and still accepts you, somebody who works with you, tells you the truth about yourself. Women can be very happy with that kind of a partner. Women can be very happy as mothers when they have a partner that supports them and gives as much as they can get to equal work effort. I don't think anybody can be equal to what we do as moms. I'm sorry, unless you're like that bad, because we just do so much naturally as nurturers that I just, it's a hard one. But you can get that partner that really does carry their weight. And yeah, then you feel fulfilled. And you feel happy, and you feel like you made the right choice. And your kids are going to do the craziest things, the funniest things, the cutest things, but you can shape them. And if you have the right partner, you do it together. And it's something that's fulfilling, and it's something that you actually put energy into, and you see it grow. Not your day-to-day job where maybe you're an individual contributor and you go in and, you know, you spend 10 years for this company building for them, and all you collected was your paycheck. Your CEO, on the other hand, has 3 houses and a Maserati and a Lamborghini and a private jet that he doesn't let you drive in, even though you've generated $8 million for him over 10 years. Bought his private jet with your renewals or whatever it is that you do. So about me, I just wanted to have a channel to have a conversation. And I wanted to talk to people about, you know, getting back to common ground, getting back to being American, moving away from this kind of crazy mindset that we have, that we need to be a team sport. Like, what in the coño is going on in this country? It's not a team sport. The Patriots and the Jets, those are team sports. The Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays, those are team sports. America is one country. If America goes down tomorrow, every single person within these borders is going down. So what is this mindset that it's a team sport? If we cannot get back to common ground, we are doomed. So I do not believe that it is productive for me to come on here and be a character or be a persona. I will probably be different next week, depending on my mood. Hopefully my heart feels less heavy. Hopefully I don't feel like just crying, because I have faith in God, and I have faith that God has a plan, that this is going to be okay. But we have one hell of a battle ahead of us. I will be here weekly. I will do my live stream. I hope that we can grow, that we can start having some nice discourse. I want everybody to come on. I want everybody to have a conversation. I would even invite a stupid hood wearing, KKK member, Antifa with their little stupid face mask, because heaven forbid anybody show their face when they're doing ridiculous things. So that's kind of what the goal is, right? What we hope to do, what we hope to accomplish. Do some other episodes and stuff over time, but you know, we have a lot of narratives in the United States, and one of the big narratives we have in this country that I fundamentally have disagreed with, because it's not my experience, is that, you know, minorities are going to vote Democrat. And I can't speak for other ethnic minorities. I will speak for myself as a Hispanic woman. I always experienced more conservatism from Hispanics than I ever experienced liberalism. And even growing up, where a lot of my family members who had come to the United States that decade, they initially voted Democrat. They almost all now vote Republican, because upon arrival, the first thing you hear is that the Democrats are for the people. And we vote. Who doesn't want to vote for the people? Like, who wants to vote for the wealthy and the elite when you're an immigrant from a third world country, one pair of shoes on your feet, and you have no idea how to speak English or how you're going to thrive in this nation? So the first thing you hear is that they're for the people. So why wouldn't you vote for them? But then you go a decade or two in and you see that the only time they're for the people is when it's an election. Their actions are wholly against us. They see us as beneath them. I mean, we could play how many clips of Democrats and liberals asking who's going to clean their toilet or work in their fields and be their slaves. Because, I mean, we know the Democrats love slaves. I mean, we know that that's kind of like their shtick. But hearing it is crazy. And again, not going to excuse the right, because I got called an anchor baby recently. It was interesting because, you know, I was actually just defending the immigration policies that we're enforcing, and I got called an anchor baby. Loved that. And it was nice educating them on how I am currently a registered Republican, although people like him will make me go back to independent very quick. But, you know, that's kind of where we're at. So that's a little bit about me. I am very much an independent. I'm registered as a Republican because I have to participate in this weird voting system that we have. As of right now, I am looking at both parties and wondering what the hell is going on. I think that's most of America. I need Trump to get off Twitter, as I've needed him to get off Twitter since like 2014. I'll talk more about the Trump presidency kind of in the next weeks, but today was really kind of just covering these areas and getting back on, right? Everybody says if you want to stream, you want to be on YouTube, you just got to record. And I spent 9 months telling myself that this week would be the week that I was going to go live. And I didn't. And moving forward, I apologize for the corporate lingo, y'all. I am a corporate person. I am trying. I fought it for as long as I could. But moving forward, I will make sure that these streams are kind of covering the week's events, or like the biggest topics that we kind of have going on at that time. So one, I want to say thank you, everybody, anybody who joined and watched today. Next week, we will talk about the week's events, but I also will be covering some of my areas of like Trump's current administration, where I think he's done very well, where I think he hasn't. And then I'm also going to kind of hype up Baby MAGA, because I think Baby MAGA is showing a level of soul and consciousness that, sorry, Boomer MAGA, y'all aren't showing it. So I hope everybody has an amazing weekend. I hope anybody who watched that this was informative. Definitely subscribe, like, share. I didn't throw any of those buttons in because honestly, I'm terrified of this thing just shutting down, or just sharing the wrong. I don't even know, y'all. I am definitely trying to figure it out, but thank you all for joining. And anybody watching after the fact, thank you for watching. Definitely like, subscribe, share, leave me a happy comment. Tell me you hate me. I'm good. Listen, it's engagement, right? And that's what we're hoping for. So thank you all.